Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today we gotta talk about this crazy story out of New Orleans, where a woke, George Soros-backed district attorney called Jason Williams, who we've actually discussed on this channel before, although in very limited circumstances, was recently carjacked along with his 78-year-old mother by a repeat offender that his office refused to prosecute before. This story is absolutely crazy. It was an armed carjacking, so there was a chance that the district attorney for Orleans Parish and his mother could have been killed, and in this crime spree, they actually ended up carjacking another woman 30 minutes later. I always talk about how you need to feel the consequences of these policies, and it looks like it's possible that DA Jason Williams might be reconsidering after these people put a gun in his mother's face in order to steal a vehicle from him. Now we're going to get into this. It's a crucial story, so you definitely want to stay tuned. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
Get out the car, Mama. Let me get my mom out the car. Come this way.
So what you're seeing right here is surveillance video from a nearby building that actually captured the audio of this particular incident, and you see at the end of the video, District Attorney Williams and his mother on camera walking through frame. He's in the bright orange shirt. She is the other person in that video. But as you could hear, it's an absolutely horrifying situation. The mother was screaming in the open. I don't know if it was fully picked up over the engine for you guys. And you hear the district attorney in a very human moment just saying, "Let me get my mama out the car. Let me get her out the car." And this is because armed carjackers approached the vehicle, pointed guns at these people, and forced them out of their vehicle. We can set aside for a second the great policy disagreements I have with somebody like Jason Williams and just be glad that he and his mother are okay, and hope that they take an incident like this and make sure that these stop happening so common in the city of New Orleans, because crime is absolutely out of control.
My mom was babysitting for us. We had an event, and I was walking her, getting her in the car to drive her home. And after I got her situated in the car, as I came around, there were two guns waiting, with two men holding guns, two people holding guns, masked. With another person in the driver's side of a vehicle.
Now look, part of this story is the fact that we are going to have to discuss how District Attorney Jason Williams is in fact, in part, the author of his own peril, the author of his mother's peril, with his soft on crime alternatives to incarceration type of policies. Repeat offenders like the ones who committed this crime against him are released over and over and over again. But to be clear, he is definitely not solely responsible, as we've seen in other parts of the country where they get the woke district attorney, and that is the person driving all of this. As we discussed on this channel, New Orleans actually defunded the police before it was cool. They started freezing their police budget in 2016-ish, and then in 2019, they actually cut their funding before George Floyd due to budgetary reasons, and they reduced the New Orleans PD from about 1,200 officers to around 900-ish, and every single independent analysis states that they need at least 1,100 in order to maintain law and order. And what this means is that even if this guy, as a district attorney, was doing the absolute best job that he could do, which he definitely isn't, his policies are a complete and utter failure. He is doing what these Soros DAs always tend to do. He, on his own, is not capable of solving the problems in the city of New Orleans. They got a messed up mayor. They got a whole bunch bunch of other issues, so he's just a cog in the leftist machine that is driving that once great American city, once the most important city in the entire country, by the way, as we talked about on this channel, into complete and utter ruin.
Don't necessarily think about yourself when you got your family with guns drawn on them as well. And so seeing the fear in my mother's face, seeing the terror in her eyes when she looks at the gun and looks back at me and looks at the gun and looks back at me, fearing the worst for me and fearing the worst for herself. I mean, she's really messed up.
I'm sorry about that.
Really
It's scary stuff, and I definitely feel for the guy. And you guys are going to call me soft, you're going to say he deserves it and all of that, but the thing is, maybe an experience like this changes him. Remember, Anna Kasparian, very woke, very left-wing on criminal justice policy. Then she saw the impact of it on her city and then experienced some of that impact firsthand, and she has become a pretty good fighter for at least reforming the criminal justice reforms that she's instituted. I don't need this guy to come all the way towards my positions, but if Democrats became more like 1990s Joe Biden, our country would be all the better for it.
And what are the instincts that kick in when your 78-year-old mom is now at risk?
So they just kept telling me to give up the car, get out of the car, give up the car. And, Linda Fricky was on my brain because my mom doesn't move very quickly now. And I said I can't until I get my mom out of the car. And they kept repeating, give up the car. I said, okay. Put my hands up, 2 guns. I didn't fight anybody. But I said I can't until I get my mom out of the car. And I told her to get out of the car, and she was doing her best to get out of the car. And as soon as I was able to get her away from the car, we backed away. And
Again, I know who he is. I know the things that he's advocated for. I know the things that he instituted, but I have to feel for this guy because I wouldn't want somebody with their mother to be in life-threatening danger in these kind of situations, no matter what their politics are. And the fact that he has the power to change this also lets us know that he has the power to change this. So we should be trying to onboard this guy to at least crack down on carjackings because he can see what a dangerous situation they can turn out to be. He can see how quickly these people act and how much these people lack remorse in every possible regard. When you hear the statement from the first person arrested from this, it's going to be shocking. It should shock the conscience of this DA who thinks that all criminals are allowed, and he should already be off of that after a gun was pointed at his mother, and hopefully this ends up leading to change. And by the way, the fact that he was carjacked as somebody living in the city of New Orleans actually could get him to not only change, but to inspire support for him making the changes, because even though people voted for him, chances are they don't want to live in a city where carjackings are just absolutely crazy, where police response times are 2 hours, where you can go on a spree like these criminals did and carjack another woman aged 25 at gunpoint just 30 minutes later. Now we have to get into the suspect, and there's a very important reason why we have to get into the suspect.
According to NOPD records, 18-year-old Raymond Rashawn is just one of at least 3 suspects accused of carjacking Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams and his mother Monday night.
This is District Attorney Jason Williams, and I was just carjacked at the corner of Race and Magazine Street.
So Raymond Rashawn is accused of being one of the people who walked up with a firearm to Williams and his mother and ordered them out of the vehicle in that specific scenario. And he was arrested on a couple of charges that are kind of dancing around the carjacking issue, but he's expected to be charged with the carjacking a little bit later. Now, of course, he got a bond set for him by this district attorney. Well, actually not by this district attorney. We'll get into that a little bit later, of $120,000. If only they were holding other people who were committing these carjackings over and over and over again for a bond like that, then maybe this wouldn't have happened in the first place. Now, the chances are Raymond Rashawn not going to end up well for him, because District Attorney Williams, who is somebody who doesn't prosecute anybody, has to recuse himself from this case. The Attorney General actually will have to appoint somebody to take this case up, and they're looking to probably set an example for him and all of his co-conspirators. Now, by the way, when Rashawn was arrested by the police, as they were reading him his Miranda rights, he actually, according to this report, interrupted the reading of his Miranda rights in order to say this to the police officer who arrested him. Quote, "I know why y'all here. Y'all's people had been got." Now, of course, y'all people had been got is a reference to D.A. Williams. So he was aware at this point in time, which I believe was 9 hours later. It's not exactly sure. The car that they stole second, the police put under surveillance and they waited for them to approach the car. And it was 9 hours after they had located the vehicle that was stolen after D.A. Williams' vehicle. So he had already heard the news that he was one of the people that carjacked D.A. Williams, so he essentially signed, sealed, and delivered his own conviction. However, whenever somebody is arrested at age 18 and they went on a carjacking spree, I think to myself, and you should think to yourself as well, especially when you have a district attorney who's focused on alternatives to incarceration, have they done this before? Is this a pattern of behavior? And I don't even know why I'm asking the questions in an open-ended way when it's completely rhetorical. Of course he did this before. In fact, he had open warrants for related charges, but nobody in the district attorney's office had decided to prioritize this and send anybody out to go arrest this guy. Now, Rashawn is facing a list of charges for Monday night's crime, including unauthorized access to a motor vehicle, illegal possession of stolen things, and illegally carrying a firearm because he had a 9mm Glock handgun in his front waistband at the time that he was arrested, and he reportedly placed the gun on the ground and surrendered to the police. However, he also is facing charges related to auto thefts that he committed from April to July, including 3 auto thefts where warrants were issued and nobody tried to arrest him for it. Now, we don't have a lot of details about all of these thefts, but we know one is a Kia Boy related theft because they actually found his fingerprints, meaning he was in the system before inside a stolen Hyundai. But here you have a guy, age 18, already a serial offender, already stealing cars, carjacking people multiple times in the same night, had 3 different incidents where there were warrants against him, yet nobody made an arrest. Nobody bothered to follow up. Nobody bothered to look into his pattern of behavior as a juvenile, because it dates back all the way back then, and think, we need to hold him accountable. We need to get him off the streets so he can't commit this crime against somebody else. And it could have easily cost the district attorney and his mother their lives. Now, there was also a juvenile arrested in connection with this case, and according to District Attorney Williams, there's 3 other suspects, or 3 suspects total involved in this, even though only 2 got out of the vehicle to carjack him in particular. And this is really just the state of things in the city of New Orleans. And by the way, I would give you the long list of criminal charges that were filed against the juvenile if that were released public. However, right now they're obscuring the name of that juvenile because that is a policy that many district attorneys' offices have and a lot of news outlets have. I'm waiting for the New York Post or the Daily Mail to just publish his name and all of his information anyway because they're tabloids, but they're also good for this kind of specific thing. But yeah, this is the state of the city of New Orleans, and for once, somebody who is involved intimately with crafting the policy that allows crime to fester seems to have been victimized in a very dramatic and harrowing way related to this. And best of all, he's in a situation where he survived, where his mother survived, where he's unharmed, and now there's an opportunity for Jason Williams to correct his ways. There could be a potential mandate from the people of the city of New Orleans for him to correct his ways. So now the ball is 100% in his court, and I'm actually quite interested to see what he'll do with this new opportunity and this new perspective that was forced upon him in the same way that that gun was forced in his face and in his mother's face. But hey, those are just my thoughts. I want to know your thoughts on this case down in the comments below. Do you think D.A. Williams will actually have any change of heart related to this case? Sometimes when it hits close to home, it really hits close to home, so there might be some hope. But I want to know, maybe you think it's hopeless and these people, they can't be helped no matter what. As usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about a woke Soros DA being carjacked by a repeat offender. Till next time.